Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. Enjoy! Here we're given two angles on a straight line, and we know that all angles add up to 180 on a straight line. So to find out what A is, we're going to do 180 take away 95. 180 take away 95 is going to be 85 degrees. So angle A is 85 degrees, and the reason is that angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. And try and get used to writing down the reason as well, because there are quite a lot of marks for the reasons. So the key says that a circle represents 8 DVDs, and we're told that on Thursday there are 18 DVDs. So we need to rewrite 18 in kind of lots of 8. So that will be an 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus a 2. So we know it will be 2 full circles, so let's get those 2 full circles in, and that will represent 16. But how do we represent 2? Well, if you think about it, if we cut this up into quarters, each quarter will represent 2. So 2, 4, 6 and 8. So we just need another quarter. And so that would be 8 for the first one, 8 for the second one, and then this little quarter will represent 2, which altogether is 18. If you imagine these numbers written out as a list, there would be 5 lots of zeros, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There'd be 9 lots of 1, so 1, 1, etc., etc. Okay, so when we're looking to see the total number of goals scored in the season, we could write them out as a list and then add them up, but a quicker way of doing that is just multiplying the amount of goals by the frequency. So we've got 5 lots of 0 goals, which will just be 0, 9 lots of 1 goal, so that's just 9, 4 lots of 2 goals, so that's 8, 6 lots of 3 goals, that's 18, and then 6 lots of 4 goals, that's 24. So all we need to do now is add up the 0, 9, 8, 18 and 24, which brings us to 59. So there were 59 goals scored. So what we need to do is find out where the graph is at its highest, and so it's highest here. And so if we go down from there, we find out what year it is. Well, these years seem to be going up in 1, so that's 1950, 1951, 1952. So the answer would be 1952. So we have an original amount, and this represents 100% of the original amount. The new price, or new amount, represents 113%, because it has said that it has gone up by 13%. So it has increased by 13%. And as a value, that increase is £1,287. So it's 13% of the original. It's gone up 13% of the original price. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out what 1% of the price increase is. Instead of 13%, we're going to work out what 1% is. And we're going to do that by dividing the amount by 13, and we get 99. So 1% represents £99. So 1% of the original represents £99. But the new amount is 113%. So we need to times the £99 by 113, which gives us £11,187. So the picture is now worth £11,187. You will need to use a paper and pencil to do this physically. You can't really do this on the computer. And make sure you have a ruler and a compass. So the first thing we're going to do is draw our 10 centimeter line. And we're going to get our compass and we're going to measure the 6 centimeters for the left hand side. So we're going to measure 6 centimeters on our compass. And we're going to just put a little arc there. We can do the same on the other side for 8 centimeters. So we're going to do our 8 centimeter arc from the right hand side, and we're going to put the point of the compass here. And it should be like that. And you can see where the two arcs overlap, which is here, and we can join these up with straight lines. And it says to measure the angle X, so we're going to need a protractor for this bit. I'm going to put our protractor here with the crosshairs matching here. So we're going to be looking at the inside, the outside one, and it comes up as 37 degrees. So our answer is 37 degrees. A sample space diagram is basically a diagram that shows all the outcomes, and we've got the outcomes from spinner 2 at the top, so either 1, 2 or 3, and we've got the outcomes from spinner 1 down the side, so A, B, C, D or E. And we're just writing down all the combinations. So this will be A2, A3, and then this will be B1, C1, D1, E1, and this will be B2, C2, D2, E2, and this will be B3, C3, D3, and E3. And this represents all the possible outcomes you can get from both spinners. All probabilities have to add up to 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take away these probabilities away from 1. So we're going to do 1 take away 0.09 plus 0.13 plus 0.18. And so that's going to be 0.4. 1 take away 0.4 is 0.6. The lowest point on this graph is here, and that's at 0.6, and the highest point is here at 0.20. And we're looking for percentage change or percentage increase, and the formula is change over original times 100. So the change between the 6 and the 20 is 14. The original, the starting point, was the 6 and times by 100. And that gives us 233.333 blah 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 percent. And this 100 technically is 100% that we're timesing it by. So it says it wants it to the nearest percent, so that would be 233%. To find average speed, we need to do the total distance and then all we need to do is divide that by the total time. So in this question, the two distances are 90 kilometers and 63 kilometers. So we need to do 90 plus the 63 and divide that by the total time. So that's the 5 hours plus the 4 hours. And so that would be 153 divided by 9, which will give us 17. So the answer will be 17. The distance is in kilometers and the time is in hours, so it'd be 17 kilometers per hour. There's a formula we use for this, and it is percentage change is equal to the amount that's changed over the original amount, and all of that times 100%. So how much has changed here? Well, we need to do 10,488 take away 10,254. So that would be 234. Divide it by the original. So the original was 10,488 because it's decreased from that amount. And then times by 100%. And so that's going to be 2.23%. So we're asked to reflect this shape along the line y equals x, and y equals x is a diagonal line where all the x values are equal to the y values. So at the bottom here we've got x is 10 and y is 10, so that coordinate would be 10, 10. And then obviously this coordinate 4, 4, etc. So we need to reflect it across this line. And so if I pick a point, I'm going to pick the top one. We can see it goes 4 diagonals to hit that line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it will go another 4 diagonals. So that will be one of the coordinates there. And I'm going to do the same with the bottom one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagonals. So it will be there. And then finally, I'm going to do this slightly harder one. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kind of goes over the other one. Ends up here. So if we join these up, and we need to label it B. So we know that the mean is the sum of numbers over the amount. But in this question, we're actually given what the mean is. We're given that that is 29. We're also given the fact that there are 4 cards, so we're given the amount. So what we can do is just get our lines in and solve this. So what we're going to do is just times both sides by 4. So we're going to do 29 times 4, which is 116. And so we know that the sum of the numbers will be 116. So all we need to do is to find the 4th card, is get that 116 and just take away the numbers that we know. And when we do that, we get the answer 26. Now you can easily check this by adding up 37, 26, 27 and 26 again, and then dividing it by 4, and you will get 29. Let's rewrite this expression, but with a time sign in, so v times w squared. Now w squared just means times by itself, so we can rewrite that as v times w times w. Okay, so we know v is minus 10, so minus 10. And we know w is minus 4, so it's times minus 4 times minus 4. Okay, so when you multiply, it doesn't matter which order we do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do these ones first, and I'm going to ignore that times minus 4 at the end. So minus 10 times minus 4, that's a minus times a minus, which is a positive, 10 times 4, which is 40, times minus 4. Now we're going to do 40 times minus 4, so it's a positive times a negative, so that's going to be a negative. And 40 times 4, well, 4 times 4 is 16, so 40 times 4 is 160. So it's going to be minus 160. A plane of symmetry is anywhere you can cut a 3-dimensional shape, in this case a cuboid, and put it up against a mirror and it looks like the original shape. So if we were to cut the cuboid here and then put it up against a mirror, it would look like the cuboid again. Similarly, if we were to cut it along here, it would look like the original cuboid again. And finally, if we were to cut it up the top here, down, across the bottom here, and then up here, and put it up against a mirror, it would look like the original cuboid again. Now you might think that diagonal ones will work with this. Diagonal ones only work with cubes, not cuboids. So our answer is 3. Whenever we solve, we've got to get rid of any fractions or brackets first. Now looking at this, there's no fractions, but there are 2 sets of brackets. We've got the set of brackets here, and we've got the set of brackets here. So we're going to expand them to get rid of them. And you can use any method you want. I'm just going to use this kind of grid method. So we're doing 4 times, and inside the brackets we've got 3x plus 5. So I'm going to times those out. 4 times 3 is 12, so that'll be 12x. 4 times 5 is 20, so that's going to be positive 20. And I'm going to do the same for the other set of brackets. Now on the outside of the brackets we've got to be careful here. It's not a 5, it's a minus 5. And inside the brackets is an x and a 2. So minus 5 times x is minus 5x. Minus 5 times 2 is minus 10. So when we put it all together, we get 12x plus 20 minus 5x minus 10. And then the rest of it is just equals 52. So I'm going to start by putting my lines in because we're solving. And I'm actually just going to start by collecting the like terms on the left hand side. So 12x take away 5x is going to be 7x. And 20 take away 10 is going to be 10. Okay, now we need to get rid of the plus 10. So we'll take away 10 both sides. So we've got 7x equals 42. And then we need to get rid of the times 7, so we're going to divide 7 both sides. So x equals 6. So we can quickly draw a line of best fit for here. And it looks something like that. And if our line of best fit is increasing, like we have here, then we say the data is positive. If, however, the line of best fit is decreasing and looks like this, we say that it's negative correlation. So positive if it's going up, which this one is, so it's a positive correlation. And if it's going down, then it's a negative correlation. If the data is all over the place, so it looks like something like this, where you've got the points everywhere, we say that's no correlation. Here we're given a triangle, and we're not actually given the values of each of the angles. We're given them in terms of x, but we know that they're going to add up to 180. So we're going to do the 20x plus the 2x plus the 23x, and we know that it's going to equal 180. And the reason is that its angles in a triangle add up to 180. Okay, let's get our tramlines in, because we've got algebra and we're solving here. We're going to put our tramlines in. Now on the left hand side we need to add these x terms together. So 2x plus 23x will be 25x, plus the 20 will be 45x. And what we're going to do to get x on its own, we're going to divide both sides by 45. So we're going to divide by 45 both sides. And we're going to end up with x equals 4. The first thing we need to do is work out what angle CBD is. So we're looking for angle CBD. And that's going to be 180 take away 170. And the reason being is its angles on straight line. Angles on a straight line add up to 180. So that's going to be 10 degrees. So this will be 10 degrees. We then need to find out what angle CDB is. And this is obviously going to be 10 degrees as well, because its angles is an isosceles. So this will be 10 degrees, and the reason will be that it's an isosceles triangle. And to find out what x is going to be, it's going to be 180 subtract 10 plus 10. And the reason for that is it's angles in a triangle add up to 180. So that's going to be 160 degrees. Make sure you state your reasons for every step of the working out, because there's normally quite a few marks for the reasons. So if we imagine we've got the 25-meter pipe here, and we've got the 35-meter pipe here, the question's basically asking us what can we cut all these pipes into, and they all have to be the same length that will fit with the 25-meter and the 35-meter. And essentially what this question is asking is, what is the highest common factor of 25 and 35? So to find the highest common factor, what we do is we just find the factors of 25, which is 1 and 25 and 5 and 5, and the factors of 35, which will be 1 and 35 and 5 and 7. And the highest common factor is the number in both lists, the highest number in both lists, so it's 5. So what we can do is we can cut all of these pipes into 5-meter pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, not to scale, and then 7 of these, so 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And so there's 7 in total. So each of these are 5-meter long, and there's no wastage. And that's the longest we can make the pipes for there to be no wastage at all. So my answer is 5 meters. We know that when you multiply powers with the same base, and here we've got all these as base v, you add the powers. So we're actually looking at what do we add to 11, which is this one here, to get to the 15. 11 plus 4 is 15. So W therefore equals 4. So this question says that Adrian, Ben and Charlie have some sweets, and the ratio of Adrian to Ben to Charlie is 9 to 6 to 13. But it also says that Charlie got 56 more sweets than Adrian. So there's 56 more sweets. Well, looking at the actual parts of the ratio, there are 4 more parts. So plus 4 parts, which represents plus 56 sweets. So the 4 extra parts are worth 56 sweets. So 4 parts are worth 56 sweets. So 1 part would be 56 divided by 4, which is 14 sweets. So all we need to do now is work out how many parts there are. Well, there are 9 plus 6 plus 13 parts, which is 28. And each part is worth 14 sweets. So the total number of sweets will be 28 times 14. So 28 times 14 is 392. So in this question we are told that the centre of enlargement is at 6, 4. So let's just put across there. And what I'm going to do is just draw ray lines from the centre of enlargement, and we're just going to go through each of the corners of our shape A. And we're going to just check whether it goes through the corner of shape B, which it does on this one. Let's just keep going. Yeah, it does on this one. But it does not on this one. So it says find the coordinate of the vertex of shape B that is not correct. So the coordinate is this one here, and so that would be -4, 1. If I start by drawing a number line, and we're going to put the 110 in the middle. Now I'm going to label the next one down and the next one up. It says to the nearest 10, so the next one down would be 100, and the next one up would be 120. Now we're interested in the cutoff, and the cutoff point is between the two numbers. Okay, so that's the cutoff point. If it goes above that cutoff point, it would have rounded to the next number up. So if the number was here, it would round to 120. If the number is on the cutoff point, which we can see is going to be 115, then we know it would round up. So we need to find the biggest number in this part here. So this part here, and it includes this line actually, so it includes this line. So all the numbers that would have rounded to 110 would have been 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, which would be here. But if it was 115, it would have rounded to 120. So 114 is the biggest number it could have been before rounding to 120. And we know it didn't round to 120 because in the question it says it's 110 to the nearest 10. So our answer is 114. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. So the first thing we're going to do is work out the area of the trapezium. And the formula for that is half brackets a plus b times h. Now a and b have to be the parallel sides. So here we've got the two parallel sides here. Just pick a different colour. Here and here. So that is a and b. And then the h is the perpendicular distance between them. So perpendicular means it hits it at right angles. So that's what we've got here. So the area would be half times a, which is 28, plus b, which is 14, times the height, which is 14. And so that would be 294. Next we'll do the circle. Now it doesn't look like we've got anything for the circle, but actually the height here is actually the height of the circle as well. So the height of the circle is the same as the diameter. So the diameter of the circle is 14, therefore the radius would be half of that, which is 7, and the area of a circle is pi times the radius squared. So it would be pi times 7 squared, which will be 153.938 blah blah blah. Now I'll keep that in my calculator, because next thing we'll do is the shaded area part. And it says we want to work out the area of the shaded region. So the area will be the total area, which will be the trapezium, take away the area that we don't want, which is this bit here, which will be the circle. So the trapezium's 294, the circle's 153.93 blah blah blah. And when you do that, you get 140.061, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it would be 140.06. This question seems a lot harder than it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rewriting the prime factors but without the squared, so 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. We're going to do the same with the other lists as well, so 2 times 2 times 3 times 11. Now I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram, and so I'm just going to draw out a Venn diagram and get my two circles, because we're going to have the 450 and the 132. So 450 is on the left hand side and 132 is on the right hand side. And we're going to start just filling out the Venn diagram. So they both have a 2 in them and they both have a 3. But 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5. And 132 has that 2 and the 11. Now to find the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just multiply all these numbers together, and that will give you the lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 5 times 5, which are the numbers on the left, times 2 times 3, which are the numbers in the middle, times 2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 9,900, and that's it. So our answer is 9,900. So for this question, we need to understand the different types of graphs from different functions. So if we have a reciprocal graph, it looks something like this and like this. It could be the other way around and it could be distorted, but it basically goes down to a point along here. It goes to infinity and it goes to infinity along a point over here. And obviously those positions could change. Then we've got a linear graph. A linear graph is just any straight line, so just any kind of straight line, either up or down. And this doesn't look like either of those. Then we've got a exponential graph. An exponential graph just starts really small and then just really increases like that and just keeps going up. And here we kind of have that, obviously the other way around, it starts going down. But here it's actually going up, so it can't be a reciprocal graph. So the graph that this is, or could be, is a quadratic graph, because it's a nice U shape. So if we carry this on, it could be a nice U shape. It could also be a cubic graph as well. So it could go up and then down and then up, and that's a cubic graph. But the most obvious one is a quadratic graph. So quadratic function. Whenever we do these kind of questions, it's always best to convert the pattern into numbers. So we're just going to count the dots. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 in the first one. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So our sequence is going 9, 13, 17. And we're going to see what it's going up in. So we're adding 4 each time, and that means our sequence will involve 4n. And then what we do is we go backwards 1 to find the 0th term. So we're going to take away 1. So 9 take away 1 is 5. So the 0th term is 5, and the 0th term just tells us what to add on to the 4n. So 4n plus 5 will be our answer. To find the smallest possible width, I'm just going to do a quick number line, and all I'm going to do is put 12.2 on our number line and figure out what the next number down will be. Well, if it's the nearest tenth, the next number down would be 12.1. That's the next number down it could have rounded to. And I'm just going to cut this number line in half and find out where our halfway point is. Well, the halfway point would be 12.15, and that's actually the minimum it could have been before it would have rounded to 12.1. So we're going to start by understanding that all lines form or can form an equation y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. It says here the gradient is -2, so we've already got a bit of a head start with this, but we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we're going to use this first set of coordinates to work out what the y-intercept is. So y is -31 and x is 15. And we're going to use this to solve and find out what C is. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, just tidy this up. 2 times 15 is 30, so minus 30 plus C. And I'm just going to add 30 to both sides to get C on its own. So that would be minus 1 equals C. So C is minus 1. So we now know that the equation is y equals minus 2x minus 1. And we're told that the y is minus 37. And we're looking for the x value, which they've called w. So let's get our solving lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. And so it would be minus 36 equals minus 2x. I'm going to now times, or divide everything by minus 2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And then obviously that gets rid of the coefficient of the x, so it's just x. So x equals 18. So the x value is 18 and the x value is the w value. So w is 18. To find the gradient, we use a simple formula, which is m equals the second y coordinate take away the first y coordinate over the second x coordinate take away the first x coordinate. So our second y coordinate is 17, so it's going to be 17 take away the first one, which is 14, over the second x coordinate, which is 60, take away the first one, which is 45. So that's going to be 3 over 15, and then cancel that down, will be 1 over 5. So our gradient is 1/5. We can keep this as an interior angle, but it's actually sometimes easier to convert it to an exterior angle. And what you might know is that the sum of interior and exterior angles is going to be 180 because they will always form a straight line. So to find the exterior angle, all we need to do is 180 take away the 170, and that means it will be 10 degrees. So we've already done a different formula for exterior angle, which is 360 divided by n. And something we can do is we can just swap these two things around. And so we can make the formula that n equals 360 divided by the exterior angle. So 360 divided by the exterior angle, well, we know that the exterior angle is 10. Therefore, n is 360 divided by 10, which would be 36. First thing I'm going to do is just draw the square out. And we know the length of it is 10x plus 10, but it is a square, so that's the same all the way around it. But we're also told that the perimeter is 440, so the perimeter is 440. So what we can do is we can work out the perimeter in algebra by multiplying 10x plus 10 by 4, or just adding up the 4 lengths that we've got. So we're going to do 4 times 10x plus 10. But we also know that that is going to be 440 because we're told in the question that the perimeter is 440. So put our lines in because we're going to solve, and we're just going to start by expanding the brackets. So that'll be 40x plus 40 equals 440. Then we're going to get rid of the plus 40 first, so take away 40 both sides. And so that would be 40x equals 400. And then we get rid of the 40 before the x, so we divide both sides by 40. And we've got x equals 10. So our answer is 10. To draw a quadratic graph, we want to find as many values as we can. Because it's a curve, with a straight line graph, you only need 3 points. With a curve, you need as many as you can get. And now we're actually given a table here to fill out. And so I'm going to start off with a 0 here. And here we want to substitute in the x equals 0 into our equation. So we've got y equals x squared plus 11. So it's y equals 0 squared plus 11. 0 squared is just 0, plus 11 is going to be 11. We're going to do the same for 1, so y equals 1 squared plus 11. 1 squared is just 1, 1 plus 11 is 12. Same again for 2, 2 squared plus 11. 2 squared is 4, 4 plus 11 is 15. Now the minuses are a little bit more difficult, but not that much difficult, because when you square a negative, you actually get a positive. So minus 1 squared is just 1, 1 plus 11 is 12. And then minus 2 squared plus 11, minus 2 squared is 4, 4 plus 11 is just 15. Now you can see here we get a nice little symmetry, and we're going to plot this onto our graph here. So 11 is going to be here, 12 is going to be here, so both of these are 12, and 15 is going to be here. Now when you join them up, what you want to do is avoid having a V. Okay, in the mark scheme specifically it says that the bottom needs to be nice and smooth, and avoid something called feathering where it looks like that. You just want one smooth line. Now the best way I find of doing it is turn the page sideways, which I can't do with mine, but you can turn your page sideways and just one smooth line, and we're going to do a nice smooth bottom there. And I just need to lift, try not to lift with yours, and that should be good enough for full marks. Let's just try it again, just have a bit more of a lift like that. That's also good, and I can do this all day. Like the ones that are bad are the ones with gaps, or the ones where they miss points. So if you had yours like this, where it just missed that point out, or something like that, that would not give you the mark. You just want one nice smooth, just slip there a little bit, nice smooth, and that probably wouldn't, because you can see that I've kind of hesitated there. So it just takes practice, and as I said, if you turn the page sideways, it's a lot easier to draw a C than a U. To be able to work out this question, we need to work out the amount of student hours required to paint the wall, and to work that out, we've got 6 students and it takes them 11 hours. So 6 times 11 means it's going to take 66 student hours. So if we had 1 student, it would take 66 hours. 2 students would be half of that because they share the work, and etc, etc. So here we've got 6 students and it take 11 hours, and it says how long will it take 7 students. Well, if there's 66 hours, or student hours, but they're sharing the time, we just divide 66 by 7. So 66 divided by 7 is 9.428, blah blah blah. And it says it wants its 2 decimal places, so it will take them 9.43 hours. Now check this makes sense. We've got 6 students and it takes them 11 hours. So we'd think if we had more students helping to paint the wall, it would take less hours. So we've gone from 11 hours to about 9.5. So that sounds right. Okay, so we're going to start off by working out the multiplier, and we're told, we always start off with 100%, we're told that the compound interest rate is 1.6%. So we're going to add 1.6% to the 100%, and it's going to be 101.6%. Okay, make that into a decimal by dividing it by 100. So we're just going to divide that by 100, and this will give us the decimal, or the multiplier. So the multiplier is 1.016, and so anytime we want to increase something by 1.6%, we just times it by 1.016. Now, we're told that we start off with 2,400, that's our original amount, and to find out what it's going to be in the savings account at the end of the first year, we just times it by the multiplier, 1.016. But we're told that it's for 7 years that it's going to be in there. So we then times it by 1.0167 times, or easier way of doing it is 1.016 to the power of 7. When we do that, we get 2,682.052 blah blah blah, and because it's money, we round to the nearest pence, so 2,682.05. So what's happened here is that the company's increased the amount of sweets by 15%. So we're just going to focus on that and work out what the multiplier would be first. So they started off with 100% and they added 15%, and then therefore they ended up with 115%. And to find that as a multiplier, we get the 115 and divide it by 100, and that gives us 1.15. So that is the multiplier they used. Now, they used that multiplier on the original amount, and they times it by 1.15, and they got the answer of 69. But if we're working the other way to find out what they times by 1.15, we get that 69, and we divide it by the multiplier. So if we want to work out what the original number was, we divide it by the multiplier, and that gives us 60. So the answer will be 60. There are two shapes we need to find the volume of. There's this cylinder here and this hemisphere here. So we might as well start with this cylinder. And the formula for the volume is pi times r squared times height. So it's the radius is 9, so 9 squared times the height, which is 30. And when we work that out, we get 7,634.070, blah, blah, blah. Next is the hemisphere. To find the volume of the hemisphere, well, the volume of a sphere is 4/3 times pi times r cubed. But because it's a hemisphere, we just times that by a half. So it's half times 4/3 times pi times r, which is the radius, which is 9 cubed. And that gives us 1,526.814, blah, blah, blah. And so the total volume is 7,634.070, blah, 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 plus the 1,526.814, blah, 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 which equals 9,160.884, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so when we round that, we get 9,160.88. So we're asked to express TQ in terms of P and Q. Well, we've got another Q here, because all of these are congruent parallelograms, and we have a P there. So if we're starting at T and getting to Q, we can go along this path here and down this path here. So we're going backwards down Q, in fact backwards down 2 lots of Q, and then the correct way down P. So it's either minus 2Q plus P or P minus 2Q. So we've got a right angle triangle here, and it involves 2 lengths and an angle. So we know we're going to be using trigonometry for this. I'm going to start by labelling the sides. So the one opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, opposite the marked angle is the opposite, and the one between the right angle and the marked angle is the adjacent. Now notice the hypotenuse doesn't have a number or a letter next to it, so we're just going to cross it out. It's not interesting to us. Going to next do our trigonometry triangles. And the trigonometry triangles will have our SO, CA, TOA in them. And we crossed out the H, so we're not going to be using SO or CA, we're going to be using TOA. And TOA stands for tan the angle equals opposite over the adjacent. So we're going to tan the 81, and it's going to equal 2.4 over x. Get our solving lines in. Now what you can do here is we can times both sides by x and divide both sides by tan 81. Effectively what we're doing is just swapping these two around. So we end up with x equals 2.4 over tan 81. Now be careful here, when you type in tan or sine or cos, the calculator opens a set of brackets, so make sure you close them before you press the equals button. And when we do that, we get 0.380 blah blah blah, and round to 2 decimal places, that's 0.38. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.